Our first performer tonight is Lisa Frias in Project Room 31 Continued. This evolving work explores Lisa's 22 and still counting years in the classroom, the blessings, truth-telling, heartbreak, miracles, and hilarious as hell moments that happen in Room 31. Please welcome Lisa Frias.
We just go, go, go. Find the honey in the water in the well. We just go, go, go. Find the honey in the water in the well. Sky palm cracked and all the birds fell. Angels help in charity to ring the big bell. Our hearts are big and our promise is long. Sweeping up the dirt as we're carrying on. We just go, go, go. Find the honey in the water in the well. Okay, duckies, warm-up time. Make sure you can see yourself in the mirror. Feet shoulder width apart, parallel. You want to keep your knees soft, not rigid. And bend and straighten, right foot out, bend and straighten, nice and easy, bend and straighten, right foot back, bend and straighten, right foot center, bend and straighten, left foot out, bend and straighten, left foot front, bend and straighten, left foot back, bend and straighten, left foot center, right next to your right foot. Sweeping up the dirt as we're carrying on. Go ahead and turn out from the hip, knees over the toes. You want one long line from hip to heel. Step out with that right foot, knees over the toes, back straight, abs engaged. The snow all winter long with no jackets. She also had this weird obsession with warning girls about the dangers of sucking out the ends of their braids. She would give us this long, drawn-out lecture about it, citing numerous instances where girls had to have their stomachs pumped because of the giant hairballs that had accumulated in there. She would give us this lecture at least once a week. I mean, how much fucking hair do you have to ingest to end up with a humongous hairball in your stomach? I always imagined it was the size of a basketball. Maybe because she was a PE teacher? And all her lectures really did was make us suck on our braids that much more out of curiosity, or maybe a perverse desire to actually get hairball sick, subsequently have our stomachs pumped, and not have to run laps in the New England ice and snow in the middle of February. She was very stern. She always wore culottes. I guess now they call them skirts. One day, I'm taking attendance and advisory when I look down and see a big bulge on the side of my left leg. To make a long story short, a pair of dirty underwear, with a hole in it, mind you, suddenly falls out the leg of my coveralls and lands on the classroom floor. The teacher's dirty underwear that somehow got stuck in the leg of my not dirty and very cute coveralls is on the classroom floor. Okay, I'm leaving something out. The bell had actually already rung. The kids had already left to go to their next class, but holy shit, that was a close call. Can you imagine? I'm a popular teacher, but no one could live that down. Go ahead and arc your left arm to the right, keeping your torso facing forward and your knees over your toes. Your arm should be next to your ear, not in front of or behind your head. Keep your legs straight and maintain that turned out position. Go ahead and rotate the upper body into a flat back. Knees over the toes. Your arm is next to your ear. Your gaze is down. You're gonna have to stick your butt out a little bit to make your back flat. I know that sounds funny. He. And duckies, you are still in turned out position. Don't move your feet. Imagine balancing a glass of milk on your back. That's how flat you want it to be. And down to the ankle, chest to the thigh. Oh, that feels so good. Come center, hang there for a minute. Bend the knees and roll up. And we are looking at ourselves once again. I went to school with extremely wealthy kids who never missed an opportunity to make fun of my discounted jeans from Kmart, or the fact that they've been worn 2 or 3 times this week already. These were kids who, when they got to high school, were gifted brand new Audis when they learned to drive. And despite the fact that behind their gilded front doors, I'm sure their own version of family trauma was playing out, That constant cloak of wealth served to create a deception the rest of us had no access to. Our shit was bare and loud and odd. Theirs was quiet and concealed and tight. At this point, I was deep in the throes of my eating disorders and starting to experiment with substances a lot. I was also wildly insecure and hadn't dealt with my sexual abuse yet. Let's just say I was not a poster child for self-esteem. I remember this pair of pants I had called elephant pants because they had really, really wide legs, like elephant legs, presumably. They had huge horizontal stripes in garishly bold colors, which much to my dismay, only made my big thighs look even bigger. Like the jeans, I wore them way too much, which did not go unnoticed by my spoiled peers. This was a really rough period for my mom, so normal mom stuff like buying me clothes didn't happen very much. During this time, however, I discovered something about myself that would prove to be the key to my survival in middle school and for years to come. I was funny. The revelation occurred in Mr. Scaduto's music class. He had one of those little record players that lived in the beige-like suitcase thing that he would unlatch and take out every day. Mr. Scaduto, he was cool. He had sideburns and wore turtlenecks. He was very popular. He had flared beige polyester pants too, that somehow looked righteous on him. All week long, he'd been playing Beatles tunes as part of our lesson. I, of course, was sitting in the back, trying to be invisible or somehow fit in with these elitist meanies, when suddenly, in response to what he was saying, I blurted out a very witty comment. Mr. Scaduto said, "Oh no, I forgot to bring the quiz I told you about yesterday." And I said, "All my troubles seem so far away." A car crash could not have elicited a more startled response from my classmates. Every single head whipped around to see where the comment had come from. "Who said that?" one of them implored. I froze in my seat, sweat pooling under my always sweaty armpits and running like a river to the waistband of my elephant circus tent pants. As I sheepishly smiled and started to raise my hand, something miraculous happened. The room erupted in laughter. And it wasn't the usual "at me" kind of laughter that I was so familiar with. It was the "wow, you secretly funny person, we actually approve of you in this moment" kind of laughter. "Good one," somebody said. A few more delayed chuckles filled the room. Even Mr. Scaduto was laughing. I could never compete with the shiny popularity and wealth of these snotty kids, but I could, on more than one occasion, make them laugh. And that, my friends, saved my ass. During the pandemic and distance learning, I was teaching from home. I gave an assignment on the legendary Alvin Ailey, but forgot to check the settings of the Google Doc with the questions. So instead of the private make a copy for each student setting, I accidentally posted it, giving all editing capacity to all students, which also meant that whenever a student typed on the doc, all the other students could see what they'd written. For this assignment, they had to answer questions about Ailey's most revered work, Revelations. One question asked, what is the name of the type of music that Alvin Ailey used in Revelations? The answer I was looking for, African-American spirituals, blues, and gospel music. This one student, however, answered like this. The type of music that Alvin Ailey used in Revelations was, are you ready? Jazzy Catholic jazz. Jazzy Catholic jazz. What? Jazzy Catholic jazz. Jazzy Catholic jazz student was the first to answer. So because I messed up the settings, all the other students could see what she had written before I realized my mistake. I'd say out of 100 or so students, a good half to 2/3 submitted Jazzy Catholic jazz as the musical choice of the iconic and legendary Alvin Ailey. Lunge series. Go ahead and bring that right leg back into a really nice lunge. Remember, the closer that knee is to the floor, the better the lunge. And make sure you don't lift that left heel. Keep that left heel flat on the floor. Your front leg should look like an upside down letter L. That's how you know you're doing it correctly. L for Lisa. Go ahead and reach that left hand up to the ceiling and look at it. Reach, 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 reach for the stars. Bring it down to the front, to the inside of that left foot and tuck it behind like this. Excellent. Go ahead and straighten both legs, chest to the thigh. Bring that right foot back to center and bend and straighten. Bring the left foot back and repeat everything we just did with the right leg. Lunge, 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 lunge. Reach, 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 reach. Oh my God. Did I accidentally say fuck in the middle of that lesson? I think I said fuck. Oh my God. Is that why everybody was snickering? No, no, no. Did I say fuck in the middle of teaching that lesson? Oh my God. No, they would have told me if I said fuck. Wouldn't they have told me? I'm a very popular teacher. They would have told me if I said fuck, wouldn't they have? And your head is the last thing to come up. Butterflies, they struggle too. I started doing meditations once a week on Mindful Mondays. At first, I was afraid the kids wouldn't be into it or they'd think it was really weird. Not only did they grow to really love it, they let me know how much they really needed it. They are masters at showing up despite some really crazy shit going on in their lives. So the opportunity to hit pause for some self-care, really important for all of us, right? During one meditation, I instructed the students to place one hand on your tongue so you can feel the rise and fall of each inhale and exhale. I gave some more instructions, a bunch of affirmations, and had them continue their mindful breathing a little while longer. When I opened my eyes and before I guided them to the end of the session, I was shocked to see almost the whole class with their mouths slightly open and one hand holding onto their tongues. Their tongues. They didn't hear tum for tummy, they heard tongues. They were holding on to their tongues. Oh my God, they looked so ridiculous. We all had a good laugh about it when they opened their eyes. They said they thought it was really weird, but you know, went along with it. I had a few teachers that desperately wanted to be seen as cool, you know, like Mr. Scaduto was. My 7th grade math teacher, Mr. Schreiner, not so cool. He'd have his back to us as he was writing on the chalkboard. He'd be feverishly lecturing, the chalk clicking, click, 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 chalk dust flying off his hand, his body moving side to side as he wrote. After he finished whatever lengthy explanation he was frenetically giving, he would whip around to face us, and he would be completely covered in chalk. All down the front of his pants, his crotch, his shirt, and here's the thing that would really have us losing it. He'd have chalk all over his face, all over his lips, his eyelashes, his eyelids, his nose, his forehead. It looked as if the dude did a swan dive into a pool full of chalk. It was crazy, and it happened a lot. He never knew why everybody was laughing. Nobody told him. I guess we should have. And then he would get really mad and yell at us, which of course was even funnier, this chalk-covered madman screaming at us like a maniac. I know, since being funny was my only perceived attribute in middle school, I had a few good one-liners about old Mr. Chalkman. One day, in 1st grade, my teacher brought a mattress into the classroom. A full-size mattress that she plunked down in the middle of the floor toward the front. Everyone stared at it, not knowing what she was doing. She then went over to this one student, Omar, took his hand, made him stand up, and dragged him to the mattress. She pushed him onto the mattress. He was crying. No, I'm sorry. She said, "Since you can't stop wetting your pants, Omar, you can lie down here like a baby." Omar started crying hysterically, trying to pull away. I think a bunch of us started crying too. We were only 6, and it was horrible. She pushed him onto the mattress. He was sobbing uncontrollably and jerking his body all around. She continued to push him down and berate him until she got tired of traumatizing him. And then she pulled him up and out the door to the principal's office. Omar was one of only a few Latino kids in the class. She had completely humiliated him. Roll shoulders back as you walk forward. Roll shoulders forward as you walk back. One, two, 3, tap, 4, 5, 6, 7, tap 8. Welcome to the deep end of the pool. So why duckies? I don't know why exactly. All I know is at the beginning of my teaching career, I started calling my students duckies, and they started calling me Mama Duck and bringing me rubber ducks. And for 22 years and counting, it has stuck. Thank God. We all like it. This is for the duckies who hide in the bathroom. This is for the students who never get in trouble, but who need attention too. This is for the kid whose shoes are too small. This is for the duckies who don't look forward to school vacation. This is for the students who really, really try. This is for the duckies who always eat lunch alone. This is for the kid who thinks they're fat and ugly and stupid. This is for the kid no one realizes is hilarious. This is for the student who pulled the train last night and comes to school drunk. This is for the student who courageously comes out to their family. This is for the duckies who say hi to you 5 or 6 times a day. This is for the kid who doesn't use deodorant. This is for the students who make a big, beautiful choreography for you after your dad dies. This is for the duckies who say, I love you to their friends, and they really mean it. This is for the duckies who don't live to see graduation. This is for the kids we can't ever forget. We just go, 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 find the honey in the water in the well. We just go, 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 find the honey in the water in the well. Sky porn cracked and all the birds fell. Angels help in charity to ring the big bell. Our hearts are big and our promises are long. Sweeping up the dirt as we're carrying on. I remember this one time when I was a pretty new teacher, I was way too hard on this one kid, TJ. I scolded him in front of the whole class and it was just too harsh. He'd been talking constantly while I was teaching and I just blew up at him and yelled. Not reacting to this kid was an everyday thing. He was pretty charming, really bright, but always, always pushing the limit. Still, I was too hard on him. I could have taken him out in the hallway and, you know, checked in with him and apologized, but I didn't. I knew that since I had humiliated him publicly, I needed to apologize publicly. So I did, in front of the whole class. I'll never forget the confused look on his face that slowly melted into a smile. I swear his chest even puffed out a little bit. It's all good, Mama Duck, he said. And you know, that moment, it was a game changer for both of us. He was always like teacher's helper after that, trying hard a lot of the time, even catching himself when his behavior got funky. And that's been my policy ever since. I'm strict, I'm really loving, and I try and apologize when I fuck up. Don't try and count the feathers on your wings. It just might slow you down. Like a fog or a fear or an uninspired lyric to deceive you in the smoke. You've got to keep going anyway. Perched on the lip of everything you hope for and everything they dreamt about. The soil beneath the floor that's underneath your toes. The yesterday behind the morning of today. It comes in again. Bright and blinding custard, a lemony truth against the sky, and you know you are awake. Butterflies, they struggle too. And you are exactly who you need to be in this moment, duckies. Don't try and count the feathers on your wings, it just might slow you down. Cradle a bowl instead to catch the floating bubbles or the prayers of fragrant gardens. The imprint of the weird drawings in your journal books. There's wind inside your breath, ancient, contemporary. I love breathing, so do you. It's hard as hell, still. Don't try and count the feathers on your wings. It just might slow you down. And we need you here, duckies. We really need you here. The ducks take time.
Don't we all wish we had a teacher like her? Lisa Frias, everybody. All right, our next performer is Bennett Caffey in an excerpt from his full-length show, Aren't You Glad to Be in Miami? After being stuck in a psychiatric hospital for over a month, 21-year-old Bennett discovers the secret to being discharged. It's okay to think you're the new Messiah. You just can't talk about it. Please welcome Bennett Caffey.
Been in this hospital for over a month, and I finally figured out the secret for getting out of here. It's like a catch-22. If you think you need to be in here, you don't. And if you don't think you need to be in here, you do. I'm in group therapy, pretending to have insight into my problems. I'm worried about what I'm going to be doing after I get discharged. I'm afraid things are going to be just the same as they were when I came in here. Katie's giving me a nod. I'm glad to see you're taking yourself more seriously, Ben. No more crazy stuff like being a topless go-go dancer in a gay bar. Yeah, Katie, I guess that was just my way of avoiding the truth. Like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do when I get out of here. That's very insightful, Ben. Does anyone else have any concerns about what they're gonna be doing after discharge? Yes, Bob. I'm worried about going back to teaching. I'm afraid I've got nothing left to give. Bob, even when you could barely talk, you stood up for me. Remember? He's got more life in him than anybody here. He's been through some serious shit and come out the other side. Maybe you can bring that into teaching. That's very insightful, Bennett. Like overcoming our adversities can be seen as a sign of strength. Finally, they trust me and they up my privilege to level R, which I think it stands for ready for discharge. I can take the elevator to visit other floors and even go down to the lobby by myself. And to celebrate, I take the elevator downstairs to mail a letter. Go out the lobby door. Put my letter in the mail slot. And I see the green grass next to the sidewalk. I know it's out of bounds, but I take one step and, oh, that feels good. Give me another step. The brakes are off. I just started walking. I know I should turn around, but it's so good. Like an invisible force is pulling me forward faster and faster, faster and faster, right through Overtown, where white people never go, through downtown Miami until they can't go any farther, and there it is. The Miami Herald building, right in front of me. I go inside, right into the lobby. Receptionist gives me a nod. I need to see a reporter. It's really important. No questions. She sends me up to the newsroom. Jake, the reporter, takes me into his tiny cubby hole of an office. He's a classic ink in his blood, type with two fingers kind of reporter. So you say you're the new Messiah, and we're all gods in the center of our own universe. Yes, but I'm only a messenger. I'm not better than anybody else. Once everybody realizes that we're all the creators of our own experience, responsible for everything that happens around us, all the problems of the world will be solved. It'll be like heaven right here on earth. That's really interesting. What's your last name again? Caffey, like coffee with an A. Caffee. And where are you staying these days, Kathy? Oh, I'm at Highland Park Hospital. And how did you come to realize that you're the new Messiah? Excuse me a second. Janet, could you come in here for a minute, please? Could you take care of this right away, please? It's very important. Thank you. 15 minutes later, Bob and Larry in the hospital. They don't have a name for the level I'm at right now. I'm in the ICU, a locked room with a couple of psych techs watching over me on video. Parents are so pissed at the hospital for letting me escape. After a couple of days, they had me transferred to Mercy Hospital, a Catholic hospital with a no-frills psych unit. I should know. I'm not going to try to get discharged anymore. I'm just going to wait it out. My new doctor, Dr. Nixon, comes in every morning around 7 a.m. He's super straight, jet black hair, black suits. Doesn't say much. He just keeps upping his meds, my meds, and dodging my questions about when I'm going to get out of here. The meds are doing the job. I'm a slug. I still know I'm going to be the new Messiah, but not anytime soon. I spend a lot of time sitting in the day room watching the world go by. I've got a clear shot of the visitors as they come on and off the unit. If I time it right, it can slip right through the doors and just keep on going. What's the point? Got no place to go. See Otis, the housekeeper. polishing the floor. He's completely engaged, pushing his humming machine down the floor. I like to be doing that. Zoning out to the zen-like hum of the machine as it glides across the floor. Hey, I like your machine. Yeah, it's cool. Hey, I remember you. I was here the day they brought you in. It took 5 guys to hold you down. Yeah. I know he's making it up. It's just his way of being friendly. It's like, it's cool being in here as long as you put up a fight. I get a new roommate, Eric. He's my age and for depression, but I don't see it. We're having a good time decorating our room, pushing the beds around like a feng shui kind of thing. Eric finds a chest X-ray, I don't know where, tapes it up on the wall and labels it Miss September like a pinup. I get part of an old bed sheet, tear it almost completely in half, so it's only hanging together by a thread and stringing it across the room like a mobile. I get Julie, one of the nurses, to come take a look. Julie, check out what we've done in the room. That's my piece. It's only hanging together by a thread. It could come apart any minute. Yeah, that's nice. She's not playing along with my tormented artist machine one bit. That's Eric's Miss September. I like it. She's cute. I've given up on being discharged, but there's still hope for Eric. Eric, all you gotta do to get out of here is tell your doctor exactly what he wants to hear. Like what? Positive stuff, like what you want to do when you get out of here. I don't know what I want to do when I get out of here. Go back to school, I guess, but I don't even know what I want to study. Doesn't matter. Just act excited about doing something, anything, even if it's just figuring out what it is you want to do. We went through a few scenarios, me playing a doctor, and after a week, Eric is discharged. 2 days later, Eric is readmitted with strict instructions he's not to share a room with Ben. I'm in group therapy, working on a belt. Debbie, the therapist, sets me up with a pattern and mallet, so knife that works. I'm hammering out details on the belt, and my eyes start going in and out of focus. Side effect from the Melloryl. I tell Debbie about it, but it's not too bad, and I keep on working. But it starts getting worse. Every couple of seconds, my eyes go blurry. I can't do this anymore. And I see a set of tool dies on the table right in front of me. I don't want to work on this thing anyway. I take the tool dies and hammer them. Tutti Frutti on the belt and color the letters in all different colors. I think it looks kind of cool. When Debbie comes back, she's pissed. I just banged out a project in 10 minutes. It's supposed to last me a couple of days. She sets me up with wood burning. Easier. I find a piece of wood about 1.5 feet long, rounded at one end like a tombstone. And I see a box of stickers on the table. One of them jumps out at me. It's an orange. And it says, "Orange, you glad to be in Miami?" I've got it. I burn. Here lies Bennett Caffey on the wood and slap "Orange, you glad to be in Miami" right under it. It's a joke, Debbie. Orange, you glad to be in Miami? I'm stuck here in Miami and I can't leave. This is something I did on the fly, but Debbie thinks I might be suicidal, which is kind of fun, because after our session, she lets me walk out of therapy with a belt to this man. Debbie tells the nurses, and the nurses tell Dr. Nixon. And of course, Dr. Nixon tells my parents, but when I show it to my parents, they actually think it's kind of funny. But it really is my tombstone. It's for the old Bennett. I'm leaving him behind when I get out of here. Feels like I've been in here forever. Jeff, a nurse's assistant, just got back from a long vacation in Europe. He's telling everybody about his trip. Oh, it was wonderful. I got laid and parlayed, and I was having so much fun. I forgot how long I'd been gone. When I came back here, well, excuse me, when I left here, Bennett had a washboard stomach. And when I came back, it was smooth as silk. How long have I been here? Long enough to get fat. When I finally do get discharged, I don't care anymore. I didn't leave the house. I'm living with mom and dad. Photosensitivity. Side effect from the meds. Sun's so bright, I have to wear sunglasses outside. And even with sunscreen, I can feel my skin sizzling in minutes. But it doesn't matter anyway. I don't want to go anywhere. I just stay at home in my air-conditioned room watching Happy Days. Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days. Saturday, what a day. Rocking all week with you. Dr. Nixon refers me to Fellowship House, a halfway house for people with psychiatric issues. He thinks they should work in their back door program, work in the kitchen, but what if I overcook the spaghetti? Someday I'm going to be the new Messiah, and I'm afraid of overcooking the spaghetti. I don't work in the kitchen, but I start coming to Fellowship House during the day. There's people to talk to. They're boring, but so am I. And they've got volunteers leading activities. Cindy, therapist, excuse me, volunteer, plays the guitar and leads sing-alongs. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know you can do it, come on. If you're happy and you do it, clap your hands. I don't be here. I don't be anywhere. Finally, get up the nerve and sign up for theater classes. The one thing I think I meant to do, and I suck at it. There's a barrier, but it's not even a barrier. It's a dead person inside me that can't get out. Loud rock and roll is the only way I can feel alive. I go to a bar to see a band, and just as I'm walking in, I see Dale, an old high school classmate, walking out. Dale, what are you doing back in Miami? I'm living with my parents and working in a psychiatric hospital. I'm applying for graduate programs in psychology. What a coincidence! I just got out of a psychiatric hospital. That did it. We're fast friends. Dale wants to hear all my stories. The crazier, the better. Dale, One time I was on a dinner pass with my parents. We're at an open air restaurant. And all of a sudden, sky starts getting black. The wind starts blowing. And a big gust of wind knocks napkins and windows off the table. The waiters are scrambling. Big droplets of rain start pelting us. My dad opens up his umbrella, holds it up sideways, protecting us. He's loving it. And I'm the one that's making it all happen. But I can't tell anybody about it. Dale, it was like being a god. Except for Dale, I don't tell anybody the stories. I still know I'm going to be the new Messiah, but not anytime soon. Realized I really was crazy. Yeah. But that still doesn't mean I can't be the new Messiah. Yeah. Anyway, I still don't know what I want to do for a living, but since I had so much fun talking with the crazy folks at the hospital, I decided, what the hell? I'll be a psychiatric nurse. I started taking prerequisites for nursing school at the community college. I get a job at Doctor's Hospital. I'm making friends. I'm having fun. I started dating Candy, a pharmacist that just wants to have sex, which I think is perfect. I'm back to being a normal guy. Dale gets accepted to a PhD program at Ohio State, and we're driving up north to Gainesville to visit some of his old college buddies at UF. It's a long drive. I start telling them my whole story from the very beginning. I never told it before. It just goes on and on until I've got nothing left to say. Wow, Ben, that's quite a story. Thanks for sharing it with me. There's just one thing I gotta ask you though. Do you ever still believe someday you might be the new Messiah? Yeah. Once you've experienced something that real, somewhere deep down inside, you're always going to believe it could be true. It was that real. We don't say anything else. We just keep driving. Thank you. Very good.
If you ever have a chance to see Bennett perform his entire piece, it's a hell of a story. Bennett Caffrey, everybody. Okay, our final performer is Maureen Langan in Aunt Rose, Homage to a Matriarch. A story of Thanksgiving, Aunt Rose is one in a series of pieces highlighting the immigrants, characters, and working class people of Maureen's family. And by the way, fun fact, Maureen was a semi-finalist in this season of America's Got Talent, where she lost to a dog. Please welcome Maureen Langan.
Hello, how are you? Hi. I'm breaking the fourth wall and talking to you. How are you guys? Yeah, I did. I was on America's Next Talent this season. I did lose to a dog. We all lost to that fucking dog. And I love dogs. If I didn't, that one would be in a shelter right now. Here's the deal. I do love dogs, but you know what's interesting? There was a guy on the show who actually set his mother on fire. He set his mother on fire. I mean, she lived, but still he set her on fire. Had I only known that were an option, I had no idea that was an option. I have a mother, a father, and 5 flammable siblings. I could have won. Could have been somebody. Anyway, you know, what I love about Monday Night March is that you can be in all different places in what you're developing. And I got to thinking recently, I just was like watching Capote and William Paley and thinking about all the obituaries, the people who get listed in the obituaries of like the New York Times, and they just have such grand allure and their impact on those around them, even though they could treat their wives like pieces of shit. Do you know what I'm saying? But we like put them up on these pedestals. And it made me think about the people in my family. And originally, I was going to talk about my dad, Huey, a retired New York City sanitation worker, who I've talked about a lot in my solo one, Daughter of a Garbage Man. I know he's the kind of guy like, you know, you're like, Dad, you know, we don't call people homeless anymore. We say they're unhoused. And he's like, well, of course they're unhoused. They don't have a home. Therefore, they're homeless. He's like, is this a riddle? Am I in a riddle? Yeah. Is this what you call woke? Because if this is woke, I'm going back to bed. And when are you getting out of here? I said, you're kicking me out of your home? No, I'm unhousing you. So that's the kind of, and I will revisit that, but something else happened that shifted that for me, is Malachi McCourt died last week. Malachi McCourt was brother to Frank McCourt, who wrote Angela's Ashes. And I was friendly with the McCourt brothers in New York City as part of this writing world. And Malachi was big and boisterous and full of life. And Frank McCourt was very, the opposite, very introverted and quiet and professorial. And he wrote Angela's Ashes, which of course went on to win the Pulitzer Prize. And I remember when that happened, I was a journalist at the time at Bloomberg. And I had an interview set up to interview Frank McCourt before he got the Pulitzer. I had just read Angela's Ashes and I said, oh, you know, this is good. Let me invite this chap in to chat. And my program director came to me and said, you know, Maureen, authors are boring. I want you to cancel that interview. Oh. I said, all right. And Frank is not a big boisterous person. Malachi, he's a raconteur. He's a storyteller. He started the first singles bar in New York City, you know, and he just was a big character. He was in soap operas and just always on the Jack Parr show and Drunk on Air and just bigger than life. Whereas Frank was quite different. So I said to my program director, Control Freak, I said, listen, let me interview him. If you don't like it, we won't air it. I think I can bond on the Irish stuff. And so I did. And then fast forward 6 months later, the director comes up to me. He says, you know, Maureen, Frank had just won the Pulitzer Prize. He goes, let's replay that interview. I said, you mean the one you don't want me to do? That one? The boring one? That one? The one? The award-winning one? That's the one? That one? That one is all right. All right. So one of the things that Frank McCourt said in Angela's Ashes that always stayed with me is that he would compare his father, who abandoned the family, was an alcoholic, it was just horrible. He equated him to a shamrock, you know, that has 3 heart-shaped leaves. It's been often, you know, it's a symbol of Ireland, it's a symbol of the Holy Trinity and humanity. So sometimes you have these 3 heart-shaped leaves, and one can just be awful and terrible, and the other 2 can be bright and beautiful. It's complex, and that always resonated for me. And oftentimes I would get fixated on my father's side of the family that's very much a lot of tarnished leaves and things that aren't always great. But something transpired last week that shifted that. So that in terms of what I want to share with you tonight. When I was growing up, I had what I called my fears. They were phobias. And it started when I was 7, when my father came home from his job, New York City sanitation worker. He came home
And he said that his friend, hey, my friend Rufus, you know my colored friend Rufus? Well, he swallowed his tongue today and almost died. Now, today, we would be very focused on my father's incorrect use of the word colored. But when I was 7, I was much more focused on the fact that I have a tongue and it's so near my throat. And what if it slides back, falls down, and I die? So that night I slept on my stomach with my head dangling over the side of the bed, hoping gravity would keep my tongue to the front of my mouth, far away from my throat, and me alive for another day. I wondered if other kids did this, but I was afraid to ask because I thought maybe I was crazy. You see, this is the gift of the alcoholic family, phobias, fears. That's the gift. My father, I mean, he's an alcoholic because he's in, right? His father, I used to go to Al-Anon, but that sucked because nobody ever wanted to go out for a glass of wine afterwards. But I never knew when a phobia or fear would hit me. I was a kid, I didn't know what it was about. So I was watching the news with my mom. I was around 8 years old, and a sportscaster came on and said that a boxer died instantly after getting hit in the temple. I said to my mother, oh my God, what's that? What's that? Well, it's on the side of your head. Jesus, too much pressure to your temple and you're a goner. So that Thanksgiving, when my Aunt Rose went to hug me, I made sure I didn't press the side of my head too tightly to her chest so I wouldn't die instantly. Now, what you have to understand is Aunt Rose gave the best, most loving hugs in the world. She made you feel like you were the most special girl in the entire world. But I couldn't hug her too tight because I couldn't risk death. Now, my Aunt Rose is more than an aunt. She's the matriarch. She is the matriarch of our family. She is a short, red-headed Irish woman in a sea of tall people. She and my mom and my Aunt Lily are 3 of 10 children, and they are the only 3, the Smith girls, to come to America. They were raised on a farm in County Cavan, Ireland, without running water or electricity, across the field from Maggie No Toes, who had no toes. So that's her nickname, because she had no toes. Diabetes, something like that. But I know, poor Maggie, I never met her. So anyway, they came to New York at different times in the 1950s. My Aunt Rose first, and my mom, then my Aunt Mill. They all lived in New York City and then eventually settled in New Jersey, where one or another proclaimed to another, we're now Americans, and we shall share Thanksgiving together each and every year. I don't know if it was so much a proclamation as much of a, Jesus, Mary and Joseph, these freaking kids, somebody do something, get me the hell out of here. A turkey, a cocktail in there, the day can't get here soon enough. So every day since I was a toddler, the 8 Langans of Lake Hiawatha, and where there is no lake, and the 5 Collinses of Palisades Park made the pilgrimage to visit the 6 divines of Saddlebrook, New Jersey, also known as Aunt Rose's house. And Aunt Rose would be there with her arms outstretched near a big pot of steaming mashed potatoes with bars of butter, enough to choke a horse. Ah, there's my girl, come to me now. And then my Aunt Lily, so beautiful with her black bouffant hairdo, very understated. She would take her fingers and put them right into your arm and say, I fucking love ya. She didn't say fucking like all over, but she would be like, shut up, fucking love ya. In fact, she was so beautiful. There was a thing that they do when they came from Ireland after they got settled. They'd get their photos taken professionally and send them back home because it showed that you had made it in America. And the photographer asked Aunt Will if he could put her picture in his Lexington storefront in Manhattan for more business. And there would be my mother just laughing. You didn't see her like that often with 6 kids, just laughing as if she didn't have a care in the world, having her yearly whiskey sours, whispering her Irish secrets with her sisters. And the kids, a lot of us, up and down the stairs, in and out of the house with our buck teeth. And they had toys beyond toys. They had Monopoly and Battleship, Operation, Candyland, Twister, and backups of all of them in case there were any missing pieces. And extra bikes in case people visited. I mean, the whole thing was mind-boggling to me. And then the uncles, like Huey and Maddie and Eddie, all in the basement, drinking Schaefer beer and smoking their Pall Mall on filters, screaming at some guy to run with his football. And this went on for decades, decades. The core, 18 of us swelled to over 50 when all was said and done. Oh, what's singing on? It could be my thing back there, sorry, but, so after, okay, it was about 40 years, and little Aunt Rose's little house on Cypress Avenue was just bursting at the seams. So some people, girlfriends became wives, boyfriends became ex-husbands. In my case, the kids had kids, and obligations saw people going elsewhere, seeing other obligations. But we had so many decades that the die had been cast, the glue was set, we were a bonded lot, and nothing would change that. Nothing would change that. Birthdays and the holidays, popping in, sadly, funerals. So I popped in to see Aunt Rose a couple of months ago, and she was sitting in her recliner on Cypress Avenue, leaning back with a blanket over her lap and Irish tunes and hymns in the background. And I said, "Hi, Aunt Rose, it's me, your favorite niece." And I don't know if she knew it was me or thought it was a neighbor. It didn't matter. She seemed to like me, and that was good. And I'm asking her, and through her blank stares, she didn't really respond. And finally I got her chatting about it. "Oh, your granny was from Cross Keys." My granny was from Cross Keys. Oh, I had a fine granny. And then Uncle Charlie too gave me the loose change. His loose change right out of the trousers. Oh, and Rosie Posey. God, my favorite ditty, Rosie Posey. So will you tell me about Rosie Posey, Aunt Rose? Well, Rosie Posey, the flower of the flock, the wringing of the dishcloth, the scraping of the pot. So I got the call last week on the day Malachi McCourt passed away, that Aunt Rose was getting ready to say her last goodbye. So off I went to 600 Cypress Avenue. And when I got there, she's in the back room. There are cousins Collins and the cousins, her children, the Devines, and my mother and my father and the siblings, and people going in and out quietly, respectfully, sitting by her side. And it was just so beautiful to watch her grandchildren, now young adults, singing to her. And they're like, and she's not responsive. She's breathing through tubes. Her hands are bluing. They're bluing because they're increasingly getting blue because the blood goes to the extremities, doesn't go to the extremities anymore, so it can go to the important parts first. And just to watch them going, "Maureen, join us in this song." I'm like, "I don't know that song." When you get to Bruce Springsteen, I'll join in. That's Jersey, help me Jersey. So they're like, "No, you must, she hears us, she hears us, she feels us, everything." And then they're singing Winnie the Pooh doesn't know what to do, has the honey jar stuck on. This went on for days. So my mom comes out at one point, she goes, "I sang Come Home, Patty Riley to Bally James Duff." And I said, "You sing?" "Well, I can hum." I said, "Well, I never heard that song. What is that song? It's a famous Irish song, Come Home, Patty Riley to Bally James Duff." I go, "All right, no, but what does that have to do with Aunt Rose?" "Well, Bally James Duff is in County Cavan, you know." I said, "I know, but it's not where you lived." "Well, it was close enough." So it's my turn to go in, and I said, "Hi, Aunt Rose, it's me, it's Maureen, your favorite niece." And she is. I said, "You want to sing Rosie the Posey? Aunt Rose, you want to sing Rosie the Posey? I'll go first, I'll start. You can chime in, I'll start." Rosie the posy, the flower of the flock, the ringing of the dishcloth, the scrapings of the pot. But nothing. So I kissed her flawless, wrinkleless, creaseless face, her forehead 3 times for good luck. And I thanked her for building a foundation, for coming as a young woman to America and starting a tradition with her sisters and all of us that grew to swell to 50+ people, to see these children all around her because of one woman saying, we're gonna do this together, we're gonna do it together each and every year. And I thanked her for that. And then I stopped and I said, you know, Aunt Rose, if you weren't so damn frail, I would smush the side of my head so tightly to your chest one more time. So anyway, Aunt Rose passed me later the rest of this weekend, and I chose to share that story with you. It's a bit raw, but I wanted you to, I just wanted to share that because these are people who don't get written up in the New York Times, but they impact people, and then we bring that good energy, I hope, forth to others, and we do our little part in the world. Now, this is the part that's not gonna be on a live stream, right? Because I want to tell you something. I'm telling you, like.
You just never know how it's gonna land for people, like the heart of it can be what, you know, comes out the most, but, yeah, thank you for that comment, appreciate it.
I always like the end too, when you do the butterfly, and whatever the wing, the feathers. Thank you. That's beautiful. And yours with the craziest, I mean, I've seen you, so that was a new part, I hadn't seen that part before, so that was good.
Me?
Yeah,
Oh, so you've seen all the stuff I've done?
yeah, yeah,
Good, thank you.
so, yeah, I would love to see the whole thing. Yeah.
Well, if you go to San Diego
Hot
or Oregon.
And I'm sorry for your loss, Marie.
Oh, yeah, and you know, I have to thank you guys because the thing about the march is I've done stuff here that's so far along and polished, and this is just, it was an opportunity to bring something that was very raw and new, so there's no disrespect in it not being further along, it's just you can only be where you're at, because, you know, she didn't die sooner, so I blame her.
We are dog people. What did the dog do to win?
Fucking piece of shit, I'm sorry.
I saw you,
Did the
I saw
dog
you,
win?
you were great,
I don't
I
watch
saw
that
you,
shit.
and that dog did not deserve to win. That dog was stupid,
So that's what my 11-year-old niece was like, what is happening? This is a pile of steaming.
and I love
fat."
dogs, yeah, I love dogs, but
I
that,
do
you
too,
know.
I love dogs, but I'm
No,
considering
you were
opening a
great.
kennel
I remember
shelter. What,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I would never kill a dog, I love dogs, I take in senior dogs, I do, actually, because I figure how long they last, but I love dogs, and I don't know, it just jumped, you know, it's people like dogs, they don't like people. And I don't blame them, but still, it's not like I'm perming my hair and going to the kennel show, you know what I mean, and winning, it was insane, it just really is, it doesn't matter, it's a joke.
The dog didn't care.
It doesn't it left. And, you know, and the trick, I mean, it's just a dog, people vote for the dog. It's all you have to do. And the ironic thing is before, I went on the show, because they had reached out to me, I said, oh, I don't think I'm right for it, they go, no, I'll come, but I did take a senior dog in, he's gonna be 16 next week, I got him last year. And I did a little video, I said, hey, because they like little homemade videos, I go, hey, they didn't use it, they should have. I said, you're gonna go to America's Got Talent with me, because whenever a dog's involved, you go to the finals. And, you know, you're hard of hearing, you have cataracts, it's all gonna work out for us, you're gonna get the sympathy vote. It's gonna be great, we'll never eat cat food again, but, I don't know, it's all. All crazy.
Sorry.
No, I thought it was a great answer.
It was a good answer.
Bennett, I'm curious, is there anybody from that time in your life, that the stories about, that you tell, has anybody from that period seen your piece?
Well, Dale, it's funny, we've kind of stayed in touch, but we haven't seen each other in 40 years or 30 years, but I talked to him, and then other people that you don't see, they're in this piece in another part. some of them saw me in Orlando when I performed, and they're all in Florida. It is kind of interesting. Because God, the part when I was like 21, it was just so. They saw me in the hospital. And I had.
Was it hard to do, knowing that they were gonna be in the audience?
Oh, I'm getting a little confused here.
Okay.
There, some of the people I know in different areas, the ones that come up in this show actually haven't seen the show, although I did call them up on the phone on Facebook. I was able to reach out to these people I haven't seen in years and years. But what really moved me was like, I had no idea how upset they were when they saw me, you know. They thought I had completely lost my mind. I was never coming back, you know. And when I saw them, I was like, oh, this is really funny, haha, you know. So after all those years, this perception I had of what went on with people, totally different. Yeah.
Where are you from in Massachusetts? Oh, no, I'm sorry, I was asking you, you said you grew up in Massachusetts.
Me?
Yeah.
North of Boston, Lynn, Salem,
Oh,
Peabody. Are you from Massachusetts?
no, I just know that area really well.
Yeah, I grew up in Lynnfield, which is the really rich town with all the snooty kids, but yeah, my family was from Lynn and Salem, which was not a rich and snooty town, but yeah.
Lynn, the city of sin.
And I did a
where-
lot of sinning there in good old Lynn.
Maureen, I've been curious, how does your family, your mother, your mom, your dad, other people, I mean, you were a journalist and now you're a comedian, storyteller, performer. How do they, care for you? Or how do they care for the idea that you're telling jokes on stage?
I'm shaming the family.
No, I mean, do they think it's great? Do they think it's really cool that you do that, or?
I think so. They're Irish, so they don't say anything nice about you, but the, no, I think, you know, they like that I write, but I think even now, like, the things I wanted to talk about, say, I don't even wanna say, there's stuff I wanna talk about, and then this is recorded, and then I get nervous, like, there's always the truth, and nothing is just idyllic, so, like, if I talk about the Irma story, that is really lovely to me, and seeing the foundation, but every family has their underbellies, and their gray, their shadow sides, and things like that, some more than others, and I always, because an Irish family is in general it's stereotypes, but you're not supposed to out secrets. You're not supposed. That's with a lot of families, but Irish is so strong that way. So yeah, you know what I mean? They're not a complimentary group, I wouldn't say. That's not the way. Like I'm a freak of the culture. Yeah.
Okay, well, you're a good freak.
Thank you. Thank you.
So is this new piece, is on your father, is this gonna be a new piece then?
I think so. I just was really thinking about, I don't know why that stupid thing comes up. This is not my phone in the background. Mine is at the airport for I came in last night and it was there and they wouldn't let me go back to get it. And I knew where it was, so I had to go buy a ticket today to get through security. But I got refunded because it was within 24 hours and it was by that time, even though it's shown where it is, I wasn't allowed to. I couldn't get it because the battery was dead, so I'm angry. But, so I have somebody's phone that's supposed to alert me when it doesn't matter. You know, I'm trying to think about, I'm really worried about erasing people who aren't politically correct. That's really something about my father. I did Daughter of a Garbage Man, which really talks very openly about him and all of that, but I'm really angry about, I just think we're doing ourselves, I want to paint pictures of people who really do exist and existed, and we might not feel comfortable about it, and we might not like the language they use, but I want them to exist. So I feel that's important. I want, if it recoil, find it offensive, I just want the right to know who people are and feel something about that. I'm worried about the erasing, the sanitizing of all of that for fear of offending somebody. I want the right to find something offensive.
Yeah.
I want that right. I don't want you to decide I can't feel offended by something. Oh, that was offensive. I don't like that. That's not for me. And I can go, that's not for me. You know, I want that right. I don't want somebody else to do that for me. And my father's a really complex guy, and he is a mix of Archie Bunker, Fred Sanford, and Marlon Brando. The early years, as I said, in Daughter of a Garbage Man, not the fat years, to which a woman cornered me at the door afterwards and said that she didn't like that I used the word fat in my show. And I said, so the violence and the alcoholism had no impact on you? And you should never do it. I said, I swear to God, she was, well, I used to have an eating disorder. I said, well, who didn't get in line? And then she said, well, you could have used another word. I said, oh my God, beefy, meaty, but you're a vegetarian. Okay, I can't. So, I don't know. I'm just really worried right now about erasing people. And I want the right not to like them. I just don't want them erased. You know, I'm gonna like that person, but I get to choose that, not somebody else.
Shouldn't be sensitive.
I don't like censorship.
No, I mean, and that's a dangerous thing that's happening. People are being sensitive and they're afraid to say.
I'm afraid to say things.
Well, if they're gonna be upset about the word fat. what else?
Fat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I go, she said, my therapist says I should confront things that trigger me. I go, and you picked me? You've known me an hour and a half. I go, really? I said, maybe you gotta confront yourself. Maybe that's what it makes this. She says, you're not hearing me. I go, I am, and I want to kill myself. I said, I'm hearing you. I couldn't believe it. That was a takeaway. After you put your heart and soul on the floor for an hour and a half, you know? I'm worried.
I'm sorry, I guess I have to ask, because I know this came up a couple other times when you were here, and maybe I just have a little different take on it. Are people really, who is being erased, right? What I hear is that there are people who maybe, especially, you know, people in politics and show business with lots of power and money that maybe don't have the spotlight anymore.
Oh,
But like, I guess I'm not seeing people being erased.
oh, I see. I see what you're saying.
That, for at least for me, and you know, and I'll just say, not that anybody cares, but I'm much more worried about the people who are trying to erase all the gains of the last, which I know, no, it's not you. The
Games?
last- The gains, right, of the
Oh,
last
oh, God, of course.
50 years,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah,
I'll
yeah.
say the MAGA folks that kind of want to go back to, well, I want to be able to say this and that, which I
Oh.
know is not you.
Oh,
It ain't
that's not what I'm talking
No,
about.
I know that,
I,
right.
please,
No,
gosh.
I.
Oh, yeah, no,
Anymore.
please.
Yeah,
I live, let live, don't hurt kids, leave me alone. I'm talking about not being able to use language, like I can't use the dialogue that my father might use. Why, I want to be able to write the dialogue he would use in something. How
but
he
I
really
really,
speaks.
and I mean this sincerely, have you, like, I worked a number of the shows of Daughter of a Garbage Man.
Yeah,
I mean, and I don't know what you put in, I mean, it seemed to me you were able to say what you wanted, do you feel like you weren't able, that you kind of had to sort of self-censor?
Yeah.
Because you did.
okay, I'll give it an example, but it's not, I find it important. But I had an uncle who would be in that basement watching that football game, drinking the Schaefer beer, going, run and run.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he would say. Can I put that in? That's what he would say. So do you understand, this is my quandary,
Well, no, I.
because that's a harsh word, but that's what he would say. So do I erase that, or do we picture that person saying that? Because that's what he said. Yeah,
No, I hear that.
I'm torn, and yet I feel like, I'm not saying that.
Right.
I don't feel that way.
I think the challenge is that, like, that the negative impact can still be felt, right? Like even when we
Yeah.
retell things, like that's the,
Yeah.
you know, even if you're recounting something, you know, even if as storytellers, we're recounting something that was the truth, it
Yeah.
can still hurt and damage. And that's, I think that's the part that's so challenging, you know?
Do
It
you think that
is.
something like that though would turn what you were saying to take away from what you.
Well,
what you
maybe
were
in this
saying,
case,
like, be such an, I don't know, flashpoint.
I don't think it was needed in this story. But if I were to tell a story about that particular person and I was shining a light on him, I think it would be useful. Because then it would shine a light on that person, you know? You know,
Yeah.
if I were trying to show a full person, but that, in this story, I don't think it was necessary.
It's like very similar to, right? Like, and that's how those
I
people
agree.
talk. You know, regardless of what, you're not endorsing that speech, you're representing the authenticity of how.
Yeah, that's what I get torn, yeah,
And if it's
then where,
then for it to be as authentic as possible, then, you know, unfortunately, for better or worse, you have to gain.
But I think in the
Yeah.
culture we live in now, you just can't.
well, that's that's what I'm talking about, what I was saying.
Well, and
I'm saying, I'm just saying what it is, you know, I'm not saying it
Yeah.
should be.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Well,
I'm
that's,
with you,
I
I'm with you.
guess, sort of like. The question is, do you want to take, given what we know now about traumas that many groups of people have gone through, and let's say in this case, Black people. If there was a Black person in the audience, let's just say, for example, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
how would that bother you to think that that word, even though that the person knows you aren't feeling it, you're recounting the story of your
Yeah,
uncle?
bother
How would
me
it make you-
terribly.
Well, I mean, to me, that seems the thing. On one hand, it's like,
Yeah, I don't wanna hurt people.
yeah,
It's,
so I think it's
uh,
kind of a,
But I will tell you, there was, I went to this plantation in New Orleans and, this was one of the most powerful things I ever saw, and I said this on radio, I did use the word on the radio, I had a show on KGL, and I did a disclaimer, I said, if I'm gonna use it, I'm gonna use it in this context, I was quoting a child, it was horrible. They had a recounting, remember what, I forget, I'm tired, because I'm really jet lagged, during FDR, they went back and did the writers stuff around across America, and they spoke to former slaves who are now very elderly, and they talked about their experiences. And they had one from a 10-year-old boy. He was like, you know, I'm not gonna say it, but you know, and it was written as a Black child at that time would speak. Me so hungry, and I said, please, Mr. Please, I just need, you know, and then I took me a biscuit, and they just whipped me and called me N over and over again, put salt in my wounds, and it said James, 10 years old. So I read exactly what that man said, because I thought it would be an injustice to that 10-year-old boy not to use the words. I thought it would be, so I chose that.
yeah,
I don't know if that was right or
no,
wrong,
it's,
Some gave it
Context.
too.
Yeah.
I mean,
but still, my intent, yeah, but yeah, and I'm very aware. But I can't help that woman who's triggered by the word fat. I can't
Yeah.
help her. And you know what, somebody told me, somebody's raped, maybe the word rape isn't what triggers, and maybe it's sometimes the light at 3
Oh, God.
o'clock in the afternoon, the way it hits reminds them of the place they were at. I don't know. I don't know how you save everybody from being
Annoyed
triggered.
with trigger warnings, you know, it's like. Everybody's got to be triggered by something. It's-
But I wanna be respectful, if somebody wants to be called a they, or my 11-year-old niece, my friend wants to be a they, and I'm confused, I go, it can be confusing, just be kind and respectful, you know, like. But I don't have any answers, I just think real people matter, so I'm just getting to that, that's all. But I don't.
no, I
Well, I don't like this
I
whole-
know enough about you, Maureen, you know, that that's.
Jesus, Mary, and for fuck's sake, what the hell are you bringing up MAGA and Maureen in the
Well,
same breath?
I guess, when the last couple of times when it sort of came up and we were here, I didn't say anything, and I just felt like I needed to at least.
Do it in
acknowledge-
front of everybody, yeah. Look at him.
No, you don't need to.
Oh,
You can handle it,
I can.
you've been on TV, you lost to a dog, that's not your fault, that all the dogs. Hey, my dog chases its tail, and, you know, and I say, you know, he chases his tail, it's like, that's pretty funny, but it's, I don't think he worked hard. It's- So-
This-
I think it's an ongoing, I think it's an ongoing inquiry,
Oh, sorry,
you know,
please.
like how to show up in a good way. And not do something that it doesn't feel authentic to ourselves, you know, and I think for myself, I try to remind myself that I have a lot of different ways of being a storyteller. So if something doesn't feel like, you know, I can do it a certain way, I can dig in the toolbox and find another way to say it, you know?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think, and I do think that there is something in between 0 and 100 miles an hour, 0 being anything goes, say anything, right? I'm not suggesting that any of us are proponents of that versus, you know, don't say anything because everybody is so sensitive, and I think. And I guess I would offer, you know, as a teacher, it's like, I feel like the kids are constantly educating me about that, you know, in terms of, this is the generation of kids that are claiming the right to be seen for who they are in ways that is just profound, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, and sometimes the adults are scrambling to keep up, right? You
That's
know,
true,
but,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's an ongoing inquiry, you know, I think, I mean, I perform in the Medea Project, Theater for Incarcerated Women, HIV Circle, and, our stuff is incredibly raw, you know,
Mm.
like it's very, very raw. We talk about a lot of intense situations, personal stories, right, that we create, and there's, you know, kind of the whole story of struggle and redemption. So, you know, I'm a firm believer in that the telling the truth is revolutionary, you know, and, you know, the other thing too, like words are weapons, they can hurt, you know. I'm still amazed at some of the words that can still cause me to have a reaction as an adult of my ripe age that were said to me when I was, you know, 6. So it's like, you know, I think we're all just kind of
Yeah, mindful of that.
those little kids
Mhm.
trying to be in adult bodies, you know?
Yeah, no, I get it. I don't wanna hurt, the whole thing for me is wanting connection with
Right.
people. It's not about disconnect, it's wanting to connect. So anything I'm sharing is so that we're closer, not further apart. You know, but I laughed because I did a joke. In Cape Cod, I thought I was amongst my people, and then they turned on me, and then I realized, oh, I'm amongst my people. So I said, that was an innocuous joke. I said, Trump was caught with a stripper. I would have been a lot more shocked if he'd been caught with a book. And, fuck yeah, I did the whole time, oh, and they said, oh, just stop, stop. He loves the classics, stop it, he loves Lord of the Lies, Nasty Little Women, and Catcher in the Pussy, come on, stop. Oh my God, they went bananas, one woman went bananas and took her whole table of friends, I'm like, no, we wanna stay, no, we're out of here.
Oh, my God.
So this is what I'm saying that you have to deal with, it's just like, oh, come on, you know?
Well, I'll just say, but, and I'm sorry, just say, I don't know, 10 years ago, I watched some, it was like a panel on Martha's Vineyard or Nantucket or somewhere. It was Ricky Gervais, oh God, how can I, oh my God, great comedian, Chris Rock, and a couple other, forgive me, I don't remember, well-known white comedians, and Chris Rock was the only black comedian, and there was a lot of talk about, well, why can't we say this and why can't we say that, and I just kept looking at Eddie Murphy, kind of, not Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock, and it was this, I don't know what he was really thinking, but it was a little bit of like, he looked like he was just slightly cringing to me, like it was like, I didn't hear him sort of say, yeah, you guys are right, I mean, he was up there with them, and
What was he feeling?
well, he just seemed like it was Ricky Gervais and I can't remember the other two well-known comedians, right, who were talking about, we should be able to say, we're just comedians.
Oh, I know what you're talking
commenting on it. We should be able to talk about what we want to talk, we're making jokes, and
Not a
he
level
just seemed
playing field,
uncomfortable with that. He didn't say it, I mean, I'm sure there, you know, I understand that there's like a comedians, like, I mean, it's a thing, right? I mean, you all appreciate what it takes to do it, but I guess, I don't know, that's just me, I sort of tend to put myself like in the shoes of somebody who's had to put up with that forever and ever, and.
Right, that's right, yeah, I don't like being gratuitous.
But no,
like
and I know you're not that, and so, and I would say personally, okay, I got it in the show, your dad used the word color, right?
Color,
And, yeah,
Still
and I got
confused.
it, and I don't know if anybody was offended, I think the
No, I
way.
don't think so.
Well, I think the way you framed it and
Yeah, no, I-
sort of, you made it clear that it's like, hey, Dad, let me point out.
Well, it was just my college friend, I'm like, would you stop?
Like, but I think I could say, you know, the N word, I think,
Oh, that's
one of
hard.
those things that kind of, it's because
It's hard. Oh.
anyway, sorry, I didn't want to go off on a tangent,
Oh,
but I just felt like,
We're just all figuring it out, I think, right?
Yeah.
We're all just trying to.
and I don't want to hold people there too long, so let's do our last thing that we always do here, which is to go down the row. How do we find you? Social media or otherwise? Maureen, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm on all the stalking sites, it's Maureen Langan, Langan, Maureen Langan. And, I'm gonna be at the Punchline in May, so come on out to that if you like. See if I offend you, and, no, anyway, that's what I got, thanks.
So I have a web page, bennettcaffrey.com. But tomorrow night, we're gonna be at the Berkeley Marsh, the first part of the story, which would make more sense to you. Which is a lot more fun, I think. It's very crazy. And then I'm doing 2 French festivals, which are gone, not here. And then, but I'll be coming back in June at Jeremy Greco's place, what's it? Sunset Solos, way out in the avenue. It's like in June, I'm gonna be doing this piece, so you've already seen it, so. But that's it for me.
Okay.
Yeah. you should.
Instagram, Facebook, Lisa A. Frias, you can find me there. My website's been under reconstruction for an embarrassing amount of time, so get me on social media. The theater company that I'm in, the Medea Project, directed by Rodessa Jones, will be doing a performance of the Bayview Opera House on June 14th.
No.
And this work, Project Room 31, will continue to evolve, so hopefully there'll be some more new stuff related to it, so, thanks.
Well, let's take our performers one more time. Thank you. There's no lives here without people.
Thanks for coming, like, it was fun. We stood up in the audience. It's like, right here. The last time we heard it, so.